Hey guys, this is Amal from TechLeatherCraft. In this video, I wanted to compare the new Samsung S9 Plus against my old Samsung S7 Edge. This video is made for people like me who have an S7 Edge and are thinking about upgrading to the S9 or the S9 Plus. Since there are a ton of video reviews already out there on the S9, I will only briefly touch on the specs. I'll mostly be talking about key differences as they compare to the S7 Edge. But just to be clear, the S9 and S9 Plus are huge upgrades when compared against the S7 Edge. And if you happen to have a spare $850 laying around, or if you have a laggy or a spare S7 Edge and about $550 to spare, then you should definitely do the trade-in, if money is not an issue. But in this video, I'll talk about a couple reasons you may want to hold off on upgrading and a couple reasons you may want to upgrade, and just a couple other things to consider. This is based off my use case scenario, and understand your situation may be different, so you will need to kind of weigh out the things I mentioned in this video and decide if they're right for you. Now, because these are all glass phones, I am super paranoid. I'm going to be putting one of my favorite cases on these phones. These are from Spigen, and I'll talk more about them later in the video. So to get into it, let's get the major upgrades out of the way, which for me personally are neutral, or they don't carry the same amount of weight as the other reasons I will mention to upgrade. There's 6 GB of RAM on the S9 Plus. However, there's only 4 GB of RAM on the regular S9, which is the same as the S7 Edge. The S7 Edge does have a Snapdragon 820, which is only a quad-core processor, whereas the S9 does have a Snapdragon 845, at least in the US. That is an 8-core octa-core processor. So take that for what it's worth. Lastly, let's talk about screen sizes. The S7 Edge is a 5.5 screen, but it is a 16:9 ratio. Whereas the S9, the regular size, is 5.8 inches, and the S9 Plus is 6.2 inches. Now, this is personal opinion. One thing also to keep in mind is that the S9 is using an 18.5:9 ratio, basically 18:9 ratio, but it is not as dramatic or as same as having a 16:9 ratio screen that is actually 6.8 inches. Let's talk about some reasons not to upgrade. First, and my major reason to hold off on the upgrade is the Note 9 and the potential Galaxy X phone, which may be released this year. Now, I won't go into details, but there are strong reasons to believe that the Galaxy X, which is Samsung's folding display phone, may be coming out this year, maybe even before the Note 9, potentially this spring. It's rumored that Samsung did show a near-finished prototype of this to some press and YouTubers during MWC last month in February. And part of me wants to save the cash just to see what they release and whether it'll be worth it. But also, I do have a slight affinity to the Note line. The Note line is really Samsung's top spec phone every year. This is because it takes stuff from the S series, which is announced early in the year, and they add even more to it. And I've actually kept my Note 4 as my backup phone because I love the S Pen so much. But the main point is that it is almost certain that the Note 9 will have all the features of the S9, maybe minus that emoji thing, and they will add even more features on top of it. Now, I will interject here. One positive reason to upgrade from the S7 is they're currently giving a $300 trading credit for the S7 Edge, which is actually better than what you can do if you were to sell your phone on eBay or Craigslist. Currently trending on eBay, the S7 Edge goes from anywhere from $200 to $300. For the S8, they are only offering $350, which is only a $50 difference. So I will say the trading credit is really good because you'll probably not be able to get that $300 if you were to sell it on eBay. But yeah, the Galaxy X, which is rumored to be released this year, and the Note 9, which is most certainly to be released this year, will potentially have some really cool features, and I kind of want to save my money and my trade-in value on the S7 Edge for those upgrades. Second reason not to upgrade will depend on personal use. Now, I drive a fair amount, so I often use a car dock. I also use a wireless charging pad at home. The main issue I had with S9 when compared against the S7 Edge is the fingerprint scanner. Now, first, let's be clear, it is a lot better than the S8's placement, but if you're someone like me who unlocks their phone while it is in a dock, a car dock, a charging dock, or even, that DeX dock that Samsung makes, having to unlock the phone is a bit of a chore. The iris face scan thing works well, but you have to hold the phone up to your face, and you can't really do that when it's in a dock. So that leaves the pattern or pin unlock, which is basically the same thing I can do with the S7 Edge. But more so, while the S7 Edge is docked in the car dock or in the wireless charging pad, I can quickly and easily unlock it, easier than the S9, and in fact, I can almost unlock it without even having to look at the phone. Same thing when it is on the couch or table next to me. A quick tap of the fingerprint scanner, without having to pick it up, I can quickly look at my notifications, swipe down, and see what's going on. This is not the case with the S9 or the S9 Plus, but to be fair, that is not the case with many phones. For example, the Pixel and LG, both of them have the fingerprint scanners in the back. But rumor is that Samsung is working hard and getting the fingerprint sensor under the glass display. So we move to the front of the phone, where people like me who use docks, this is great news. And there's a possibility that the Note 9, which I mentioned in my first point, may have it. Of course, we may have to wait until the S10. There's kind of rumors fluctuating that Samsung has figured it out or has not figured it out. Which brings me to my last point of the S10. Next year will mark Samsung's 10-year anniversary of the S series, kind of like the iPhone X. It is likely that they'll be doing something kind of above and beyond, like the iterative changes we've seen. I know that that's a long way away, but if you have an S7 Edge that is working for you, you may want to hold off a bit longer to see what the S10 brings. But it is something to consider rather than getting locked into a 2-year payment plan with your carrier with the S9. Now let me get into the 2 major reasons, in my opinion, to upgrade. The first is stereo speakers. You have louder sound overall, so the placement of your phone is less of a concern. On the S9, the speaker is coming from the bottom and the earpiece when viewing content. Unfortunately, I will say it seems that it still uses only the bottom speaker when making calls. Maybe that's something Samsung can fix in an update. But on my S7 Edge, I frequently had to angle the bottom speaker towards me, which meant I turned the screen away. The stereo speakers for me are a huge improvement, especially for those times when I'm not paired to like a Bluetooth speaker or headphones. And this is why I love these Spigen cases with a kickstand. They're basically my everyday case because they offer, the military grade drop protection. I've been using this on my S7 Edge since I've had it. I've dropped the phone multiple times and they'll hold up really well. But the real kicker is the kickstand. These are so handy when I'm working in the shop doing leather work and I want to watch a quick YouTube video or Netflix in the background. And on the S9 case, I can just prop this up and angle the phone directly towards me. And on the S8 and the S9 cases, Spigen has actually changed the color of the kickstand to match and blend in a little bit better with the case. They do have other colors that the S9 comes in, so you can probably get one that matches your phone. I will post Amazon links in the description and update them as they come out. You can go check them out there. Okay guys, the last reason, and major reason I think to upgrade to the S9 is going to be the camera. Now I think the major point here is the f1.5 aperture rather than the variable aperture for most consumer use. I'm not sure how many people actually noticed the lack of variable aperture. So unless you were like a content creator, you probably didn't even hear this mentioned in the past or even noticed it. But I do think the 1.5 is a major upgrade. And then second is the secondary camera, which allows for a telephoto zoom lens and also uses it for defocusing and depth sensing. Now this only applies to the S9 Plus. So I would not choose the regular S9 for the camera only, even though it does have better processing and the f1.5 aperture. I think the major upgrade from the S7 Edge is the dual lens, which only the S9 Plus has. The dual lens allows for better composition for like people in portraits. And if you have kids like me who are always outside playing at a distance, the telephoto lens is nice to get close without being like in their space or disrupting them. For events like concerts or weddings, assuming you're like outdoors or there's enough light, since the telephoto lens is only an f2.4 aperture. In those situations, it was a huge difference compared to the S7 Edge, where you would have to kind of either crop or zoom, which is a digital zoom, and that's not as good. So to me, that dual lens setup really stood out against the S7 Edge. Also, if you do decide to upgrade from the S7 Edge to the S9, be sure to pick up 1 or 2 packs of these micro USB to USB Type-C adapters. A couple of brands make them, Anker makes them, Aki makes them. These are super handy, they're super cheap. They basically convert your current micro USB cable to a USB Type-C cable. It's nice because it ends up giving me the best of both worlds. I can use the adapter and charge my phone, and then unplug the adapter and charge whatever it is, the Bluetooth headphones with a micro USB tip. I will post Amazon links to these and that Spigen Top Armor case I mentioned earlier in the video description. You can go check them out there. So those are my thoughts when comparing the S7 Edge against the S9, S9 Plus. I would love to know what you think I missed, what I got right, or just your thoughts in general, and some reasons you have thought about either to upgrade or not upgrade. I would love to get your opinion and maybe help out some other viewers too in their decision-making process. Thanks for watching, guys. If you're interested in tech, leather crafting, and EDC multi-tool stuff, subscribe to my channel and be sure to follow me on all the social media platforms. I will post all the links in the description. Take care.